Hey members, what's up? Phillip here with Points of Phillip. And what I want to do today is I want to talk about, well, the stupidest debit card I have ever seen in my life. So we're going to be talking about the Solana debit card. Honestly, this card is like, nobody should ever get this card. It is terrible, and we're going to list exactly why it's terrible and kind of, well, what it does to consumers instead of for consumers. So let's take a look at the groundbreaking new Solana credit cards, or Sol card as they've decided to keep it. So this is a debit card in function. It's a prepaid debit card. Now, because you're using it to spend your Solana crypto tokens at everyday shops in the world around you. So unlike other crypto cards, this one really doesn't earn you any money or cash back, but it does cost you, well, a lot. So we're going to get into the world of crypto, and we're going to find out if anything is worthwhile in that space and what you could get into. But first, let's make fun of these crypto debit cards. So let's take a look at the Sol card. So the Sol card here is a prepaid debit card, like I've said before, and you can use this card only through Apple Pay or Google Pay. In fact, there is no physical card whatsoever. In fact, so they say that that's kind of a benefit of the card and that you can use it immediately, which kind of can be helpful if you are in a bind and you don't have any other way to pay for your Doritos at the CVS, right? So here's the thing, you don't earn anything, but you are able to directly use your Solana at purchases using a Visa or MasterCard. So there's no physical card again, it's just a virtual one. They say that there are no annual fees for holding this card, but well, that might be a little misleading, and we'll get into that. There are also plenty of other fees, and well, we're going to get into that too. So here's the thing, because it's a debit card, there's no approval process. That's something that they kind of seem to care about. It's not a credit card, so it's not going to hit your personal credit score for good or bad. And because you're not waiting for a physical card to arrive, you have immediate access to the card as well, which, well, can be kind of helpful. So let's take a look at the fees. So first of all, there is a very broad 5% top-up fee anytime you load the card. So if you pay $100, or if you put $100 on this card, $105 will come out of your bank account. So 5% straight off the top, just for adding onto the card. Additionally, you get charged for getting the card. Now, again, it's not a physical card, it's a purely digital card. Now, if you choose to get the MasterCard one, that's $10 in order to be able to use the card. If you choose the Visa one, that's $40. So not only that, so you have to pay to top up, but you also have to pay to be issued the card. Additionally, there's a transaction fee of 30 cents per transaction. That's any transaction fee, like any transaction. If you go buy a stick of gum at the drugstore, 50 or 30 cent charge immediately. There's also 2% foreign transaction fees that apply as well. So, well, that's kind of a big deal too. Additionally, if you're an Apple Pay user, you get an extra 30 cents per transaction on top. So that's 60 cents per transaction if you're an Apple user. There's also a small purchase fee of 15 cents, as well as a monthly maintenance fee of $1. And so that monthly maintenance fee kind of tracks as a yearly annual fee of $12. So it does have an annual fee of sorts. There's also a withdrawal fee of $1 anytime you withdraw your card balance to another crypto account. So it charges you money to open the card, to hold the card, to use the card, and to load the card. So anything that you do with this card, you're paying. So, basically you're paying money to be able to use this card in any meaningful capacity, which is kind of insane. So let's take a look at how it stacks up. Now, the most readily available comparison to the Solana prepaid debit card is a Crypto.com family of debit cards. Now, they also have a family of credit cards, which we can kind of get into, but it's very confusing and kind of weird, and well, I don't really think anybody's that interested in it, but please correct me if I'm wrong. If you want a video about the Crypto.com cards, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll get it scheduled. Now, these Crypto.com debit cards are also prepaid, but there is a range of cash back you can actually get on purchases. So these debit cards, well, they reward you for actually using them, which is something the Sol card doesn't do. So now in order to actually access higher tiers of cashback, you actually have to lock up money in Crow, which is the Crypto.com's kind of house currency. Now, these cards can range from as low as 1.5% back on all purchases, matching the Capital One Quicksilver or the Chase Freedom Unlimited. And they can also go all the way up to 8% cash back on all purchases, providing you lock up $1 million in Crow, which, again, is Crypto.com's house currency. So do these cards have a lot of fees? Well, the answer is yes and no. It's definitely not nearly as bad as a Sol card, but they also kind of hide these fees a little bit. You have to dig way back into the bottom of the terms and conditions under Schedule A, and this reveals that you can pay 2.99% when you're loading the debit card using a credit card. Now that kind of makes sense because credit card transaction fees are a thing, and 2.99% is high, but it's reasonable for how much you would pay if you had to pay your taxes with a credit card or something like that. So that kind of makes sense. At least it's not 5% no matter how you load it. Now, this one also comes with a fee of 1% when you load the card using your debit card from another bank. So you also get a 2.1% fee if you're loading your card from a PayPal account. So depending on how you load that money, you could be paying 1% to 2.99%. So there's kind of a difference there. Additionally, the Jade cards and lower, which are kind of the mid-tier ones, have a 3% foreign transaction fee on the card, while the higher levels don't. And well, that's pretty interesting that some of them come with foreign transaction fees and some of them don't. And the only real differentiator is how much Crow you have locked up or purchased. Additionally, each account will charge $4.95 per month of inactivity after you've reached 12 months of inactivity. So that's kind of a big deal. And there's also a $50 fee to replace their cards, which is, well, very similar to the Robinhood Gold card, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So here's the thing. If you want to earn crypto, do you have any other options other than paying through the nose for a debit card that gets you nothing to kind of paying for a debit card that gets you 1.5 to 2% to 3.5% or up to 8%? So there's a number of credit cards that can do this. So let's take a look at first the Robinhood Gold card. Now the Robinhood Gold card usually will have kind of higher interest rates if you carry a balance. My one currently has an interest rate of 35%. It's my highest interest rate card. And I have a credit limit of $10,000. So I'm sure if I were wildly irresponsible, Robinhood would be making a lot of money off of me. Now, this Robinhood Gold card gets you 3% back on everything, and you can actually redeem this to your Robinhood brokerage account, and then you can use that Robinhood brokerage account to buy into crypto. So there's a bunch of different steps to it, but ultimately you can use the Robinhood Gold card as a crypto card if you want to. Now there's also the Gemini card, so we're going to talk about the Gemini card. Let me pull it up here on my wallet. So this is the only card that we're going to talk about today. Well, I do have the Robinhood Gold card as well, but the Gemini card I have as well in the black version. It does come in orange and a couple others. I can actually show you the back because there's no cards. Now, this earns you, for a limited time only, earns you 10% back at golf purchases over the summer, and it gives you 4% back on gas, charging, transit, and taxis, as well as 3% back on dining, 2% back on groceries, and 1% back on everything else. And of course, that has no annual fee. Now, you get your earnings almost immediately with that card in the cryptocurrency of your choice. So there's a list of cryptocurrencies that you can get your rewards in, and then that gets deposited into your Gemini account pretty much immediately. Now, there's also credit card options from Crypto.com, which kind of match the debit cards. They're just credit card products. And there's Coinbase. Coinbase recently announced a co-branded card that's coming sometime this fall. And the network that card's going to use is American Express, although it doesn't look like American Express is backing this card. It's going to be yet another third party. And so you have a couple different options. Now, the question here is, are any of these right for you? So I think the answer probably is going to be probably not, right? I took out the Gemini card to try it out, but I don't think I'll be using it anytime soon. It might be my gas card. 4% cash back on gas purchases is pretty nice. I could just chuck this in the car and not have to think about it anymore. But then I'd be giving up possibly 5 thank you points per dollar with my Citi Custom Cash. Or I could be giving up 4 American Express membership rewards points per dollar with my Business Gold card. So, that's 4% cash back deposited into the cryptocurrency of my choice. But, well, I don't know if this is going to be worth more than either of those 2 points options. So, basically it does have a use case, but you have to primarily be cash back and you have to be willing to stomach a little bit of volatility when it comes to your rewards. So, honestly, probably not for you. But, I just had to talk about one of the stupidest debit cards that I've ever seen come across my desk. So thanks so much, members, for joining me on this. I can't wait to see you again next week. And, just let me know in the comment section below if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to talk about, or if you have any opinions about cryptocurrencies or how to earn them. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll see you again next time.